Okay, so we're going to think about rendering an isometric shape now. The basic principle is that there are three sides to any isometric shape. So we've got kind of our right side, our left side, which is that, and that face, and our top side, which is here and here. And each of these three sides should have either a dark face, a light face, or a medium face. Now you can see from the example I've got above, I've taken all of the faces on the right hand side to be light, all the faces on the left hand side to be dark, and all the faces on the top to be medium. That basic principle works down here as well. The only issue will come with this face because it's covered over, and we'll get to that at the end. So let's take the light face first. I will very quickly, just with my blue colouring pencil, add a very light tone of blue to this face. Shouldn't take long at all. Please note that when I render, my pencil is always going in the same direction. Now I will add the dark faces. Now I'm doing this relatively quickly. You'll probably want to take more time and care. So that's one quite dark face. And here is another dark face. There we go. And then I'll think about our medium face. So our medium face is here. Just a little bit tone darker than the light face, but not the same tone as the dark faces. The basic idea here is thinking that the sun maybe is pointing from here, so that would be the lightest, and the furthest away from the sun would be the darkest. So another medium face would be in here. Now inside here we can kind of think of the idea of this being shaded by the top, so it probably wants to be a bit darker than before. And actually, the part underneath, right underneath here, wants to be extra dark, just so we can give it some contrast to the light face above it. I'll just finish that off. Okay. And the piece underneath here, probably slightly darker than the medium face at the top, but not by much. So that's our nicely rendered shape. What we now need to think about is fine lining. Fine lining just gives it that extra aesthetic appeal like above. So you need a fine liner pen, not a biro. What I would do is I would start with the top lines. So as we're bringing our ruler down, we're not likely to smudge. And just very carefully go about fine lining all the lines. Now you need to be careful here that your pen doesn't bleed through the paper like mine is slightly, just here. That's because the sketchbook I'm using isn't ideal. So just working my way through the fine line. And you should see that this part now, when it's fine lined, really stands out. Before, maybe it would get lost in the just rendered colour. Last few lines. There we go. And the last thing we need to do, like you can see above, is the outside lines you can give a double thickness to. Now the rule would be this. If you imagined a spider, and we've talked about this before, a spider on a face, if that spider walks over the line onto another face and it would disappear, you wouldn't be able to see it, then that line should be a double thickness line. So for example, from this face to the back face, you wouldn't see it anymore. So that line should be double thickness. Like that. So I'm just going to go around and add those double thickness lines. Generally, the double thickness lines will be at the outside lines unless you have a complex geometric shape. Here, these lines at the top are going to be those. So this line here, and this line here. Okay, so there we have it. Some rendering in isometric, thinking about a light face, a medium face, and a dark face, fine lining, and also think about giving a double thickness to any line where that spider would move from a face to another face and you wouldn't see it anymore.